All right, everybody, it is 6 o'clock, so I would like to call our meeting to order. And we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance that will be led tonight by Councilmember Hilton. If you'd all please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you could all please remain standing, yes, he is. Trevor Van Laar from the Gilroy Presbyterian Church will give us our invocation.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. In a moment of freedom, just want to compliment you on your national anthem, Mayor. So I was thinking back over this last summer and over future things. The rodeo came to my mind, which is definitely a part of my thoughts today. Please join me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for our city, our elected officials, the businesses, the churches, the nonprofits, the families, and the individuals that make our city the great place it is. As summer winds down, we thank you for the fun and success of the many community events of summer, the celebration and sharing of Gilroy's history and culture through events like the rodeo, Garlic Festival food, Downtown Live, the Chamber's Car Show, and many, many other celebrations that are too numerous to mention. As the school season starts, we pray for the safety and success of our many students, teachers, and administrators, and the support, involvement, and patience of their parents. Tonight, I pray that you will guide our mayor and council as they meet to approve and discuss matters important to our city, such as our continuing relationship with the San Jose Sharks. I pray that you provide them divine guidance as they choose to do that which is moral and rational. Father, I pray that you affect this council's motivation so that in everything they do, the good of the public is held above their own wants and needs. I pray that tonight our council continues to work towards solving our city's problems and making good policies great. Help them to be competent and excellent in their governance. In your name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. You know, I forget how patriotic rodeos can be, and this one certainly was. Okay, 1.4, City Clerk's report on posting the agenda and roll call.
Yes, Madam Mayor. The agenda was posted on Thursday, August 17th at 12:30 p.m. Councilmember Armendariz?
Here.
Councilmember Bracco?
Here.
Councilmember Klein?
Here.
Councilmember Hilton?
Here.
Councilmember Marks?
Here.
Councilmember Tovar?
Here.
And Mayor Blankley.
Here. All right, under orders of the day, staff has requested that item 12.1 under item 12 be moved up until now, and so with the council's consent, I would like to ask Sharon to come and give us some really great news to share with the public. Is that all right, everyone? Okay. You get the honor, Sharon.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members, and members of the community. I'm so excited.
So am I.
Yes, very excited to share that we got our HCD certification of our housing element early this morning at 8 o'clock something.
Yep.
We're the 5th jurisdiction out of 16 in Santa Clara County to receive housing element certification. As of a week ago, just 34 out of Bay Area's 109 jurisdictions have received certification.
Right.
So we're probably, 30-some out of the 109. And I want to thank Council for your input and direction. We want to thank the Planning Commission for their input. We want to thank the many community members who completed surveys, participated in focus group meetings, attended in-person and virtual outreach meetings to give us input. And I want to thank Jimmy and Andy for your support and your direction. And most of all, I want to thank Cindy McCormick, who has served as the city's project manager, worked many, many long hours with our planning team, housing team, and our consultant to achieve certification for the city of Gilroy. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yay. Thanks, Sharon. So for those who don't know, this was the 6th 8-year cycle. So this is done every 8 years. So we're good now for another 8 years, and this is the 6th time that cities have gone through this whole process. So yay for another 8 years. Okay, we move on to 1.7, which is employee introductions. We have 3 to introduce from our police department, 2 from finance, and 4 from public works. And these are, with the exception of 1, these are all new employees. So Chief Espinoza, we'll let you go first.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council, members of the community. Actually, 4 new members to our GPD family that we welcomed this last 2 weeks, so very happy to introduce them here tonight. First, we'll start off with Sandra Quintanar, and she comes to us as a public records technician. And her date of hire was August 8th of this month. She was born and raised here in Gilroy and lived here until recently moved into the city of Hollister. She is married with 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl, ages 14, 8, and 6. She joined the military in 2007 in the Army, was discharged in 2016, and she was deployed a little over a year from 2010 to 2011. She worked for the government as an administrative assistant as a civilian for about 3 to 4 years and went back to school and received her AA in business management. She enjoys spending time with her family, doing outdoor activities such as going to the lake, theme parks, family vacations, etc. Her kids enjoy camping, but her not so much. She likes to get pampered and runs errands for the husband. Okay? Please help me welcome Sandra Quintana.
Hi, I'm Sandra Quintanar, and I just wanted to thank you for this great opportunity, career progression, and like they said, I was born and raised here in Gilroy, so I'm very happy to serve the community and everybody. So thank you.
Thank you and welcome.
Next up, we have Neil Garrett, who was hired as a detention service officer. His date of hire is August 7th. Neil has been a personal trainer for 23 years as a fitness director for 2 local gyms, and he has ran his own business before. He's worked for the last 9 years for the city of San Jose as a parking enforcement traffic control officer and is a police property specialist. Neil attended Aptos High School from his freshman year to junior, and then completed his senior year and graduated from Hollister High School. He then attended Gav College for 3 years and went on to Sonoma State University. Neil is married with 3 beautiful children. His wife was born and raised here in Gilroy. Loves doing things with his family, ride bikes, golf, ride motorcycles, and watch sports. He enjoys working out, running, and watching motorcycle races. Please help me welcome Neil Garrett.
Got to move this up a little bit. Mayor, distinguished council members, I'm excited, honored, and humbled to be a part of this team. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Next, we have Police Officer Antonio Gomez. His date of hire was August 16. Recently graduated the Police Academy, where I had the pleasure of swearing him in. He is a local here, and his last job was the assistant coach at Christopher High School for the wrestling team. He's been a machinist with DC Precision Machining, and he's also been a delivery driver for Amazon. Also a security officer for a private company. He has a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology with a minor in Criminal Justice from San Francisco State University. Certainly his hobbies are wrestling, fishing, and spending time with his family. And he lives with his mother and father. Please help me welcome Antonio Gomez.
Thank you for the opportunity. Be able to give back to the community that gave a lot back to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Finally, we have Brett Beatty, also hired as a police officer, graduated the academy on the 16th of this month. Born in South San Jose, his father is a retired sergeant from Campbell PD and his sister a paramedic for AMR in San Mateo County. He attended Christian Valley High School and graduated from San Jose State with a bachelor's in criminal justice. While at college, he played football and baseball and at junior college. Please help me welcome Brett Beatty.
Hi, I'm Brett Beatty. Just like to thank you all for this opportunity. I'm very excited to serve the citizens of Gilroy. I come from a family of law enforcement, so I'm excited to continue on that legacy for the next 32 years here in Gilroy. So very grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chief. And I misspoke. I said 3, and there were 4. Sorry. All right, next from our Finance Department, I know we have 1 promotion and 1 new hire, right?
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and members of the community. Herja Sangha, Finance Director with the City of Gilroy. Tonight, I have the privilege to introduce 2 accountants, one a promotional opportunity, another a new hire. So first up, I'd like to introduce Erica Pacheco. Erica Pacheco was recently promoted to the accountant position as of August 1st. She's been with the organization for almost 10 years, working in capacities such as Accounting Assistant 1, Accounting Assistant 2, and most recently overseeing the accounts payable functions, which includes paying the city's bills on a weekly basis. She does possess a degree in accounting. In her new capacity, Erica will be working on the day-to-day accounting, which includes her journal entries, cash and bank reconciliations, fixed assets, and other periodic annual reportings. Outside of work, most of her time is consumed by her family and kids. She and her family are avid soccer fans, and her kids do also participate in soccer leagues as well. It's my privilege to announce the promotion of Erica Pacheco.
Thank you. I haven't been up here in about 10 years, and I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. I was honored to get this promotion. I'm excited to learn and grow within the finance department. Not only that, but I live here in Gilroy, and this is where my family lives, and it's just just to learn. And I'm excited, and I'm part of an amazing team, finance department, and I can't say anything else. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. All right, up next is our second accountant position. So not too long ago, you'll recall, as part of the Budget Adoption, Council authorized a second accountant position within the Finance Department. The recruitment lined up perfectly that we were able to recruit and fill the second position at the same time. So I am excited to announce the hiring of Kelly Ullum. Kelly started with the Finance Department on August 14th as the second accountant position. She most recently worked at audit firms including Ernst & Young and Moss Adams, and has approximately 6 years of doing tax accounting and other IRS-related reporting. She possesses her education, degree in business admin and emphasis in accounting. She is new to the government accounting, but has already participated in several governmental accounting trainings. As in her current capacity with the city of Gilroy, she will be assisting with the accounting and the reporting of the debt and the investment program. She'll be focused on utilities accounting, as well as our South County Regional Wastewater Authority that we do the accounting for. Outside of work, Kelly enjoys bowling, and she serves on 2 leagues, and also enjoys spending time with 4 of her pet cats. My privilege to introduce you to Kelly Ullum.
I just want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity to help and serve the city of Gilroy, and as well as expand my knowledge with municipal government accounting. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes the finance introductions.
And I'm going to share your pain, or what I guess is going to be pain, at getting into government accounting, because that's been quite a different feat for me. Okay, Public Works. Carl has 4, right? Well, 3 that are here.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. My name is Carl Biarchi. I'm your interim Public Works Director, and I'm proud to introduce 3 new members to our Parks and Landscape division at the Corporation Yard. So let me start with Sal. Can you want to come up, Sal? This is Sal Russo. He's going to be one of our maintenance workers. And Sal brings a broad range of skills to us that we're pretty happy about. He's an electrician. He has a lot of landscaping background. He knows how to repair and build irrigation systems. And he's also pretty handy with pumps and that sort of thing. So Sal and his wife have 2 children. And welcome, Sal, to City of Morgan, or to Gilroy. Oops.
I would just like to thank everyone for this opportunity. I've been here since May, so it's been a great few months, and I look forward to many more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, if I could have Fabian Gallegos. Fabian, we actually stole him. I was going to say stole, but he came to us from Look at my notes here. So let me just start over. So Fabian is also a maintenance worker. We are happy to have his skills. He's pretty good at mechanical equipment and power tools. These are things that we use a lot in the parks. And he's also has worked for a family-owned landscaping business too. So we're happy to have that. Fabian was raised in Hollister, but he's lived in Gilroy for the past 8 years. He and his girlfriend are raising his 7-year-old son. Welcome, Fabian.
Mayor, council members, I'd just like to say thank you for this opportunity. I'm excited to be working for the city of Gilroy. Thank you.
Thank you. We're excited to have you.
Okay, and lastly, I'd like to introduce John Sousa. John he's going to be our new supervisor for the Parks and Landscaping Division. That's a pretty critical position for us. He has over 25 years of experience in both landscape maintenance and construction. John comes to Gilroy after 16 years with the city of Santa Clara. He also played a large part in his family-owned landscaping business at one time. We're really excited to get John because he not only has all this experience, but we're really impressed with his leadership skills, and that's gonna help a lot. John and his wife are raising 2 daughters right here in Gilroy. Welcome, John.
Hi. I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited and honored to have the opportunity to serve the city of Gilroy. I've been here for a few weeks now. I've met many of my colleagues. The welcome is greatly appreciated, and I look forward to the future working together and serving our city. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, welcome to everybody. We move on to ceremonial items, where we have none tonight, and then to presentations to the council, and we're starting with Seth Miller, who's here from the Regional Public Affairs, as the Regional Public Affairs Manager of the League of California Cities.
Thank you so much for having me here, Mayor, council members. Let me cue up the presentation. And community members, what an honor it is to come to Gilroy tonight and meet your wonderful community. It's beautiful down here and a real pleasure. This is why I do this job. My name is Seth Miller, and I serve as the Regional Public Affairs Manager for the Peninsula Division, which includes 36 cities in Santa Clara and San Mateo County. As your regional rep, my job is to be the boots on the ground, communicating your city's needs up to Sacramento, and then communicating what's happening in that crazy town, imposing different bills, suggestions, and how they might impact your city. So tonight I want to give you a little background on what it is we do and how we can forge a partnership to even work more closely. So Cal Cities has been around since 1898. This issue of what local government does and what state government does has been broiling and boiling for a long time. They come up with great ideas that don't make any sense for some cities. Sometimes they come up with great ideas that work well for us. But of the 476 cities that are our members, there's a lot of different sizes and needs. And I think the message I want here tonight is that Gilroy has your own special needs, and we want to make sure we're communicating those up to Sacramento, and you're not being put into some category to do something that doesn't work for your community. Now, this is a member-based organization, so that means your involvement, council, leadership at the staff level, requires that we listen and learn to what you're doing. It also requires you spend some time, some of you, on our policy committees. I know some of you have served in the past, and on our Peninsula Division Executive Committee team. This is how we determine the programming that gets delivered every year. And I'm glad I'm down here to maybe recruit a couple of you, because it takes effort and time, but that's the way you're going to get your voice heard, is to participate. And we are that venue for you. Now, just so you're oriented around what Cal City's priorities are, they get established every year, And the 4 priorities we had for 2023 are these big picture important items that impact the whole state. Of course, homelessness, housing, public safety. I was thrilled to see new police officers being hired. And more than anything, to safeguard against the raiding of local funds from state government, which happens year in, year out. And our lobbyists fight hard to protect local priorities and local control. Now, the way you participate with the League, it's an elaborate structure. There's 16 divisions. The Peninsula Division is just one of them. There's 10 professional departments. I hear finance and public works hiring new people. There are roles for them to get continued professional development and educational opportunities. There's caucuses if you want to be engaged with elected officials on a variety of caucuses. But most importantly, these policy committees. And I know you all have interest and something to offer on these policy committees. They take time. They meet 4 times a year. You can do it virtually for, I think, 3 of them. But I want to encourage you, if things go well and you're up for it, I want to help you plug into one of these policy committees. It's how you move the dial in Sacramento. Now, this slide, I'm going to go over with Jimmy at a later point. This is and maybe the finance team will be part of us for this as well. But I want to go for a couple successes before I turn it over to questions and have a little dialogue with you. The League fights hard. There's a lot of momentum in Sacramento to address housing issues. They want to tell us how to build the housing. They want to tell us that we need to do planning for the housing, and then they want to override it with saying, well, you can build it wherever you want and give developers whatever they need. So we're trying to walk this balanced line. This year, we're pretty proud. There's about $3 billion in there for local government. And we think there's grant programs, but we think those grant dollars are going to be available for housing that meets your needs and your specific plans, not some cookie cutter design that the state has in mind. We're always fighting pension challenges in Sacramento for you and for your city employees. And more than anything, this housing crisis, it's not going away. The governor has declared he's trying to build 2.5 million units. They're not getting constructed at the rate that he wants. There's going to be continued pressure here to withdraw local control, to kind of superimpose housing policy here. And we are your voice in Sacramento to make sure that you have an individualized response to this wild onslaught of housing demands that's coming our way. Now, in the near future, there's a couple things you can do to be involved with the League. I know folks are signed up to come to our annual conference. This is where elected officials, a couple thousand from throughout the state, come for learning, professional development. I hope you join us. We do a breakfast that's at 7 a.m. where you'll hear the priorities of your division members. And then our division events, try to do them somewhere between North Santa Clara County and Southern San Mateo County. But we really want you to participate in those. I see some faces. You have participated. The Zoom has been a good feature. But getting there in person, there's no better way to get involved and to show some leadership. So keep your eyes peeled for those. I know I fill your inboxes with invitations, but we're hoping this next year we can get you to attend and participate. With that, I want to turn it over to you and see if there's any questions that you have. This is a state-run organization, but it is your organization, so I want to be here to answer any of your questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, council members, anyone have any questions? I will be at the conference. I'll see you there. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay,
Jimmy,
appreciate
do you have
your
anything? No? Thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you.
down. All right. Okay, that brings us to 3.2, public comment. Members of anyone who wants to comment on something that is not on the agenda. I see 2 speakers here. Is that right?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Okay, so Robert Zepeda, you're first, and then Ron Kirkish. Could you be nearby? Oh, you are nearby. Okay. There's the 2.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, council members and city. First, I want to start with a moment of silence for all those that were affected by the natural disasters down south and in Hawaii. Thank you. And the reason why I'm here today is to mention what is going on in Hawaii. I find what is going on very suspicious, and I'll bring 3 points. When did the fire take place? It started August 8th, which is 808. What is the area code of Hawaii? 808. Many of the investors in Hawaiian Electric are 3 companies that I come off the top of my head: BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, which own a little over 20% of their stock. It's interesting how those fires did not affect any of the luxury hotels or any of the estates owned by Oprah Winfrey, Jeff Bezos, or Mark Zuckerberg. The people in Maui have been battling for their estate for a very long time, and now it's just absolutely devastated. It's very unfortunate, and I'm just pointing it out. It looks very suspicious. And another thing I wanted to mention, supposedly COVID is coming back, right? They want to start the mandates again. They want to start the lockdowns again. I think we all do not want to go through that again. None of us want to be forced to do something we don't want to do, whether it comes from the WHO, CDC, or NIV, which is controlled by the government. They'll just be told what to do, and then it'll be come from the federal, state, and then to the county, and then the county is just going to tell us what to do. And if you own a church, if you own a business, don't comply. Just say no. And we're not going to go through that again. I refuse. I'm not going to comply. You want to wear a mask? Go ahead. You want to get a dozen boosters? Go ahead. And I speak for myself. Of course, everyone's actions will speak for themselves. Thank you.
All right, Ron Kirkish.
Good evening, Mayor Blankley, council, community. Over the last approximately 2 weeks, we have had a rather unique individual, and I would say extremely unique individual, making very strange comments on our local mass media, or like Facebook and others. He's making claims that are false, they're lies, but he's targeting our electeds and a candidate that is running for election, making some very sick charges. I got to say, I have been working with individuals in the city on this issue, and I've had people call me up and say, asking, Ron, what are you going to do? And my reply is similar to what James Garner said as Brett Maverick. I'm going to be working on it. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any other speakers?
No other speaker cards, Madam Mayor.
Okay. That brings us to reports of council members. Councilmember Bracco. Councilmember Armendariz.
No report.
Councilmember Marks.
Yes, I have a very brief report. For Gilroy Gardens, lakeside renovation has been approved and will be operational in 2024 with a brand new restaurant dedicated to barbecue, just like Uncle John's restaurant had many years ago. Their fall planting, pruning, and weeding season has begun. 2024 memberships are on sale. They are having every Friday night during the fall a Gil and Roy slumber party, and it goes from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Also, this past Friday night, we had the unveiling of our second mural in Gallery in the Alley between Lewis and Martin Street. There is a third mural that's already finished, waiting to be unveiled publicly. And number 4 and 5 murals will start in 2024 and be completed by the end of summer. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Hilton.
Thank you. From the VTA Policy Advisory Committee, Valley Transportation Plan Bay Area 2050 call for projects is now open. This is the region's long-range plan for housing, transportation, economy, and the environment, and which is known as the Plan Bay Area 2050. It calls for creating compact, walkable communities by promoting high-density housing and mixed-use development near transit stations and existing urban areas. Their staff will be at the R&S Gilroy Farmers Market behind In-N-Out at the Gilroy outlets on this Saturday on August 26th to discuss the Plan Bay Area and updates. We approved a recommendation to the VTA Board of Directors to adopt a transportation demand management policy as an amendment to VTA's transit-oriented communities policy, including a provision that requires housing developers to purchase a minimum of 2 years of smart passes for each household at future VTA transit-oriented development projects. The recommended TOD policy advances all 3 business lines in VTA strategic plan through growth in ridership and farebox revenues that support increased transit service and generate funding to sustain enhanced services. Requiring developers to provide transit passes as part of the TDM program would also support VTA's TOD parking policy, which aims to grow ridership through ensuring properly sized parking, facilitating access for all mobility needs, and maximizing multimodal access to transit stations through a TDM tools that encourage alternatives to the automobile. VTA is in the process of preparing a climate action plan and adaptation plan that identifies specific actions VTA could take to minimize contributions to climate change, as well as to adapt and build resilience to long-term climate impacts. From Silicon Valley Clean Energy, at the Silicon Valley Clean Energy Board meeting in August, staff provided an update on the offers and services available to customers, such as rebates for efficient electric appliances and a contractor training program. The board also approved 2 contracts for a new solar energy facility and a new battery energy storage project, which will add additional renewable energy and reliability to our clean power mix. SVC has dedicated nearly $90 million towards community programs. There are more than 25 programs in this portfolio, which range from thousands of dollars for customer rebates on efficient electric appliance, funding for EV charging stations, grant to increase energy resilience for municipal facilities, and future fit fundamental contractor training programs. These programs are focused on electrifying transportation and buildings. Transportation electrification projects include offering free technical assistance and rebates to help cover the cost. To address emissions from homes and buildings, the SVC Future Fit Homes program offers $8,000 for residents to upgrade to heat pump heating and cool and water heating. Small and medium businesses can receive up to $20,000 for upgrading to heat pumps. Additional funding is available for income-qualified customers and nonprofit organizations. And lastly, SVC offers an online contractor training that pays contractors $500 for taking the course that teaches about electric technologies. The program offers additional installation incentives for participants. The program has recently had its 100th graduate complete its course. Thank you.
Councilmember Klein.
I have no report.
Councilmember Tovar.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things. On Wednesday, August 16th, I attended the South County Youth Task Force meeting. There were several presentations given, one on the cost of gun violence in Santa Clara County and one on the Health Equity Access for All Leadership Initiative. Finally, the committee reviewed the final draft of the South County Youth Task Force Strategic Plan, which was approved. And next, I know that many of you are aware of the devastating wildfires that have recently swept through the island of Maui and the tragic effort that it has on their community. This past Saturday, I had the privilege of partnering with our Gilroy Firefighters Association 2805 to support the Gilroy Fill the Boot for Maui fundraiser, which provided a meaningful way for our community here in Gilroy to come together and support the relief efforts in Maui. Many of you may have seen us by the outlets on Saturday wearing Hawaiian shirts and collecting funds. Then right after the event was over, we partnered with several local businesses, including Bottles and More, Nick the Greek, Pour Me Tap Room, Old City Hall, Settle Down Brewery, and Temple, who all generously agreed to donate a portion of their sales between 3 and 7 p.m. to help raise money for the cause. Across the bay, there were 3 Fill the Boot events for Maui, one at Stanford Shopping Center, one at Santana Row, and the other one we had here in Gilroy at the outlets. All 3 events were held in collaboration with the fire unions in Santa Clara County, Mountain View, Palo Alto, NASA Ames, Milpitas, and San Jose. In total, the Fill the Boot campaign raised an impressive $34,132 for the relief efforts in Maui. Thanks to Gilroy's incredible spirit of giving, I am proud to report that Gilroy alone raised more than $12,332. None of this would have been possible without the amazing generosity of our community. So I just want to again thank everybody who came out to support this effort. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
And yeah, the mayor was there, so thank you to the mayor as well. She thought I was a crazy guy running to her car with my son, but I appreciate that. And
Okay.
thank you to Chief for being there as well.
Thank you. All right. A lot of things happened on the committees that I'm on since our last council meeting, one of which is what Councilmember Tovar reported out. South County Youth Task Force, we did meet on August 16th, and that was the day that we finally did actual approval of the 2023 to 2026 strategic goals and work plans. So for those of you curious about that, you can see it on the city's website. If it's not there already showing its permanence, it will be there soon because that is a final document. On VTA, our Administration and Finance Committee meeting unfortunately was canceled. We were all prepared for it, but we had one person unable to show, and that meant no quorum. So that means things go directly to the board in that circumstance. But I do want to call out for the public that in circulation through VTA is the potential for a position on Senator Wiener's bill, SB 532. So that's what I just want everybody to know. It proposes to increase the Bay Bridge toll by $1.50 and some other increases that fall within the Metropolitan Transportation Commission's management umbrella. And that's meant to raise revenue for transit agencies, but it's circulating, looking for support. So I just want people to be aware of that. Okay, and lastly, Caltrain. I mean, because this is really big news for those who may not realize just how big this is. I know it is a fourth weekday train, and that may not seem like so much, but if you knew the decades that we've been fighting for this and the step that it means towards getting somewhat closer to service levels that the rest of the county has, this is really big, and what Caltrain has begun doing is circulating within its committees the draft schedule for that. So that's why I want to report it out. I had Jimmy send it to council so that council members didn't feel caught off guard. It is just a draft. It's coming before local policymakers group on Thursday. If this goes into effect, when this goes into effect, it will be September 25th. But again, this is a draft schedule. So I just wanted everyone to know that the top three the top three priorities coming out of the survey were in this order: frequency, later AM service, and shorter trip time. And the draft schedule proposes a departure time from Gilroy, the added fourth train, of 7:29 a.m. So that would be 4 weekday trains that depart at 5:52 a.m., 6:29 a.m., 6:50 a.m., and 7:29 a.m. To the current return schedule times, which are 5:19 p.m., 6:40 p.m., and 7:17 p.m., the draft proposal is to add 6:17 p.m. So that's kind of in the middle of what's already there, and the morning one is at the later time. The new train service in its final form will begin on Monday, September 25th, and we're going to make a very big deal about it, so be ready on Monday, September 25th. In other big Caltrain news I want to share, because this happened on August 17th, this also was just last year, the state approved funding for a demonstration pilot program that's going to run a train on battery-equipped electric. It's a battery train that's going to run on non-electrified tracks. It's probably the best way I can say it, because as some of you know, the tracks are not going to be electrified south of Tamian for a very long time, probably not until high-speed rail comes. So even when Caltrain starts implementing their electric trains, Gilroy is still going to have diesel trains. So the state has just funded this pilot program that is still several years out, but it's closer than high-speed rail. So at some point, we may get not only diesel trains, we may have a battery-operated one that will be charged that can come to Gilroy on tracks that are not electrified. That is my report. Okay, council correspondence. We have none. Future council-initiated items. Seeing none. Consent calendar. Are there any members of the council wishing to pull anything from consent?
I would like to pull 7.5.
Okay, Councilmember Marks wants to pull 7.5. Anybody else? Okay, then let me go to public comment to see if we have any comments on any of the consent items, or at least the ones not being pulled.
We do have one public comment for 7.5, so would you like me to wait?
Okay,
until-
yeah, let's wait on that one if that's specific to that. Okay, so having no public comment then on the rest, do I have a motion for approval of 7.1, 2, 3, and 4?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Bracco and seconded by Councilmember Marks.
Yep.
Okay, to approve 7.1 through 4. That's a roll call vote?
Councilmember Medeiros?
Yes.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Tovar?
Yes.
And Mayor Blankley.
Yes. Okay, then that brings us now to 7.5. Don't know where to start on that, except, I guess, to look at you.
Okay. Well, 2 weeks ago when we voted on the vendor ordinance, I went back today and I was looking over the video, and I was confused when I went to vote because I thought the 600 feet were for all the vendors starting right when they went to set up. And I guess I needed to be more specific in my questions. So when I voted yes to it. And I really kind of hung the restaurants out to dry because they attended the community meetings. Their voices were they wanted more of a distance than the 4 feet that the ordinance does suggest. So I wanted to just make that comment publicly. The ordinance as written right now does address safety and health, and I don't have a problem with what's written right now. But I would like to see if other fellow council members would like to have something else put in. It doesn't have to be tonight. We can always address it in 2 weeks and maybe have an addendum to this ordinance, respecting what the restaurants have requested, a little bit more distance from their front doors. I don't know. I might be alone on this, but.
Okay, I don't know if, John, if you want to say anything or not, but I know that for me, I haven't heard, or I don't know what the health and safety connection is to that statement. That's what I think we've been trying to address, is to get specifically to how we tie it to health and safety. And we've had 3 public hearings, and to me, we've done the best that we can tying to health and safety, but that's
I guess
my
I could
comment.
tie in safety with when you're 4 feet on either side of an entrance and the lines are getting longer, it might be a safety hazard for customers trying to enter a business or leave a business. That's where I was coming from.
I think, Carol, that you precluded your statement by saying that you're hanging the restaurant owners out to dry, and the state bill says that we specifically can't favor, right, restaurant owners or brick and mortar business owners over the vendors. And so I think it sounds disingenuous. I hope that that's not what you mean. But
No, I
if
think-
we're trying to find language, right, if you're trying to find and connect something as a health and safety, when you already mentioned that it's because you feel like you're doing the restaurant owners wrong, I mean, it really sounds disingenuous.
Well, I don't mean for it to sound that way, but I know they were concerned. And I think, we could tie it into a safety issue with people trying to get in and out, especially if there's an emergency inside the restaurant. Is that going to be a hazard, with them being so close to the front door?
Isn't that determined by fire code, though?
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know.
let's not do that. Let me go to staff who may, if you would like one more time, to answer the question about why the 48 inches is the or whatever it was that's addressing her point. How is it that what she is saying is not? I think you understand what I'm trying to ask. Okay, because
Yeah.
I believe you've already answered this, but we need it to hear it again.
Again, these standards that we can adopt as a city have to address objective health and safety standards. And we have the 48 inches that is in the code in front of the city council this evening, which we believe does that. We've had it reviewed by our fire department and other staff members, and we feel that addresses those concerns in the immediate event that there happens to be some catastrophic event at a restaurant. That, coupled with other safety measures that are in the building themselves, should address the fire and safety concerns.
Okay. Are there other council members who wish to speak on this? Councilmember I'm sorry? Okay. Let me look at this thing. Councilmember Tovar, I know you've been waiting,
Yeah.
and then I'll go back to
Thank you.
Councilmember Armendariz.
And then just a question. Thank you, Councilmember March, for bringing this up. Two questions, obviously. In regards to the comment about the businesses, could you share exactly what you've been told? And part two is, what would you like to see happen? I mean, with your comments, what would you like to see
Yeah,
happen?
I would like to caution us on saying things that are what a particular business owner wants. We're not here to be talking about particular
Right.
business
No,
owners.
no.
We're here for the whole.
Right.
And I want to make sure we don't go down a road that isn't for the whole.
Right. No, and
so
that's what
whatever
I'm-
you say or
right.
feel has to be for the whole.
Well, I don't think the mayor wants me to respond. Okay. All right.
Well, I'm just cautioning you
Right.
on not responding based on a particular,
Well, right.
because that's not what we're supposed to be doing.
Okay.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve this
No, I
ordinance?
don't.
Oh,
I
I'm sorry.
have to speak.
I'm sorry. Oh, yes, and right. I understand. Councilmember Armendariz, I forgot. My apologies.
That's okay. And in reading through our proposal, I don't see a fee schedule attached for the licenses, and I know that we talked about it in the beginning, but we do have a schedule of the administrative fees, right, in case folks violate the new ordinance. And I think that for the sake of being transparent, and the fact that we've included a lot of language in here that can be prohibitive to the vendors that we already have, right, and they already exist and they're already selling. I think it would be in the best interest of transparency to include a fee schedule so folks know what they're going to.
And we are going to be coming back to council at your second meeting in September with that fee proposal,
Thank you.
with the resolution.
Okay, let's go to public comment. I forgot about that too.
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have one speaker card, and it's Rocio Rojas.
Okay. Is Rocio Rojas here? Apparently not.
She's here.
Oh.
Hola, buenas tardes para ustedes y para todos. Ella es mi hija y me va a traducir. Les quiero hacer una pregunta sobre la ordenanza para vendedores ambulantes.
Hi, good afternoon to the public and to all of you guys here. I will be translating for my mom today. She does have a few questions of freelance food vendors, street vendors. Yeah.
Okay. He estado en casi todas las reuniones referentes a este tema y los que no quieren a los vendedores ambulantes, que no estemos vendiendo, en todas las juntas han preguntado cómo podemos reportarlos, si por medio de llamadas como hasta ahora.
So basically what she wants to know is there's been a lot of complaints that have been targeted towards food vendors, and what she wants to know is how those complaints come aboard. How, is it phone calls, in person, just kind of stuff like that.
Okay. Y mi pregunta es para ustedes si cuando ya aprueben, primero Dios, aprueben la licencia para que podamos trabajar, va a ser igual que nos puedan reportar solo con llamadas y si van a investigar esas llamadas o van a hacer lo que hasta ahora están haciendo, que llaman anónimamente y solamente va alguien de la ciudad y quita a los vendedores sin investigar.
Another topic to that is that once permits are released to food vendors, if that's going to happen, will it still be the same type of topic of if somebody complains about certain food vendors, if the city will just come by and kick them out how they are doing now?
si vamos a tener como una seguridad ya con nuestros permisos para que no cualquier gente llame y diga, oh, ellos dejan basura o dejan, no me gustan los vendedores, y o sea que no investiguen si es verdad o no, solo nos van a quitar.
Some complaints do have to do with topics such as they didn't sweep last night, they left this, they're doing this and that. And that's just kind of like maybe rumors. Are you guys going to do anything about it, like investigate further if that's stuff that's actually going on, or if it's just maybe some people just targeting food vendors just to get them off the streets for no good reason? Because us personally, it has happened to us a few times already that anonymously, I can't say that word, but that somebody, the city comes and tells us that you guys have to leave, just our stand in particular kind of thing. And yeah, so she just wants to know how that's going to get taken care of, if permits come, if that's going to continue to happen. So, yeah, those are the questions she has.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Thanks for coming.
sorry, I'm not,
Thank you.
Mayor,
Okay, hang on.
Mayor,
Okay,
I'm not
yes, sir.
looking to comment on what was said, but can somebody reach out to this?
Well, I think it's okay for us to say that this process is going to have an education component to it. And so if it's passed, then information will be going out. And certainly in the permit process, everybody's going to be told what the process is, what the enforcement is. And I don't think any of us up here can say what will happen when somebody calls in a complaint, but I don't think you can revoke somebody's permit just because somebody else said something happened. There has to be some kind of witness to it, right? We can't even get barking dogs kind of things unless somebody hears, the actual dog barking. So it certainly can't be that. Whether or not people get, irritated with each other, that's a different story that we're hoping doesn't happen. But okay, so closing public comment. And now looking for a motion to either approve or revise. Okay, motion to pass as is. Okay, is there a second? Okay, I will second that if nobody else. Okay, so made by Councilmember Klein and seconded by Mayor Blankley to adopt an ordinance adding Chapter 16B, sidewalk vending, to the Gilroy City Code. And this is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Almaderas?
Yes.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Tovar?
Yes.
And Mayor Blankley.
Yes. All right. That passed unanimously. Okay. Moving on to 8.1, bids and proposals. Award of a contract to Perkins and Will for the preparation of basis of design documents for the Gilroy Ice Center, and approve a contract expenditure of $275,000. And Carl Biarchi is going to be giving us this report.
Yes, hello again, Madam Mayor, members of the council. And for this particular item, my title is Special Assistant to the City Administrator, and my mission is to deliver the Sharks Ice Center, or the Gilroy Ice Center, for the city. The item before you this evening is to hire the firm Perkins and Will. It's an architecture firm, and have them prepare the basis of design documents. And I'll start off with a little bit of background. As the council is aware, in June of last year, the city entered into a non-binding term sheet with Sharks Sports Entertainment, LLC, which essentially solidified a partnership to build the Gilroy Ice Center. And not only build it, but how we were going to operate it going forward. One of the terms in that agreement is that we're going to build this facility using a design-build method. And so what will happen is a year from now, I'll be bringing a contract to the council. Not a year from now, next year. Clarify that. Next year, I'll be bringing to the council a contract to award to a design-build firm to design and build the facility. These design-build firms it's one entity. It's a combination. They have designers, architects, engineers, and a contractor. They're teaming up to build this facility for us. So they'll have a proposal to have it built for us. Once we let that contract, the city loses some of its influence over the design process. We're essentially handing it over to this firm, this team, to design and build the facility. So that brings us to the basis of design documents, which is what was before you this evening. Since we will lose some influence over that, what we want to do is when we award that contract to the design build firm, we want to have it as packed with everything that we want and everything that the Sharks Sports wants in this facility. So it's basically the fundamental design parameters for the project. And it is essentially we'll describe the facility, including all the dimensions that you see in the staff report, the functions that we want it to have. Shark Sports will be involved, and they'll be able to talk about these two NHL hockey rinks and all the specifics to build that properly. So all that goes into these documents, and Perkins and Will they're very experienced at these kinds of sports facilities. They also have experience with Shark Sports in building similar facilities elsewhere. So it makes for a very good team. So what we're recommending is that we award this contract tonight. We will get these basis of design documents rolling, and once those are complete, then we'll work on pre-qualifying design build firms. We'll get a handful of those that we find qualified to build it, and then we'll get proposals from each one of those and award a contract, and away we go. So the recommendation before you tonight is to hire Perkins and Will for $250,000, authorize the city manager to city administrator to execute a contingency, if needed, of another $25,000, and also to authorize the city administrator to make some minor adjustments to the actual agreement that we'll be entering into with Perkins and Will. The fee that if it's approved tonight, the fee and the term, that's locked in. What we would do is minor, maybe some legal comments on the agreement itself. So those are the actions before you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Okay, I'm looking to council. I don't see anybody on the board here for internal speakers. Does anybody have any questions of Carl, of our staff? No. Okay, then thank you, Carl. This is no public comment for this?
It should be.
Okay. Over here.
Yes, it should.
Public comment. Do we have
No
anybody
public
speak?
comment.
Nobody wanting to speak? Okay, then that just leaves us with needing a motion. If nobody has anything.
So moved.
Okay, that seemed to be a tie by Councilmember Bracco and Councilmember Armendariz. So, Ty, you can pick one to be the. Okay, Councilmember Armendariz will be the maker, and Councilmember Bracco will be the seconder.
And
can
this is a digital vote here.
Yeah, digital vote, everyone. Should be on your screen.
And presumably this is for both A and B.
Yes, this is presumably for both.
Okay.
Yes, to award the contract and to authorize the city administrator to execute the contract.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. All right, under public hearings, we have none. Under unfinished business, we have selection and appointment of youth commission members. So we have 9 applicants for 5 seats that expire September of 2025 and one that expires September of 2024. So I'm going to go down and just ask everybody. I'm going to start with starting with the first seat. I'm just going to take one of the 5 seats that expires September 30th, 2025, and ask everybody who their first choice is for that, even though, or maybe, I don't know, it would be easier to ask you all for 4 names at the same time.
I think that might be easier.
Under 5?
Well, there are 4 for.
There's 6.
There's 5 and then there's
total.
Wait, yes, there's 5 for the seat expiring September of 2025.
Yes.
5 for that.
One.
I don't know if I'll be able to do. I think I have to do one at a time. The
If
way
I
you
could
did
help,
it.
Madam
Yes,
Mayor.
you can help.
The first 2 that I put on your sheets here for the tally
Yeah.
is the first 2 are going to be starting for October 1st, 2023, because we have incumbents,
Right.
Commissioner Huang and Commissioner Francis, who are currently in the position and expires at
Okay.
September 30th, 2020.
Okay, let me phrase it that way. I know that's how you put it on here. It's just okay. So right now, I'm going to ask for your choices, your two choices for this two seats that expire September 30th, 2025, but begin October 1st, meaning they're on the term of the incumbents. Okay, so there's no short. So starting with Councilmember Bracco, who are the two people that you would want in those? Lavender and Aiden. Okay. Okay. Councilmember Armendariz.
Lavender and Aiden?
Okay. Councilmember Marks.
Lavender and Aiden.
Okay. Councilmember Hilton.
Lavender and Zara.
Okay. Councilmember Klein.
Lavender and Maya.
Lavender and
Maya.
Maya. Okay. Councilmember Tovar.
Lavender and Maya.
Lavender and Maya. Okay. And I'm going to do both of the incumbents. So that means so 2 votes. I got 2 votes for Maya, 1 vote for Zara for one of the seats, and 4 for Aiden, and 7 for Lavender.
Yes, Madam Mayor,
Okay.
that's what I got too.
Okay. So that takes care of the terms October 1 through September 30, 2025. Okay, so now we move to 2 seats, 3 seats, starting immediately, starting today, basically, through September 30, 2025. So is everybody ready with 3 names, or can I go one at a time on this?
I can do 3.
Everybody's ready for 3? Okay, let me get myself ready for the 3. Okay, Councilmember Bracco.
Crystal, Maya,
Crystal, Maya, and sorry, the third?
Tanvi.
Oh, got it. Councilmember Armendariz.
Said, Crystal, and Tanmi.
Said, Crystal, and I'm sorry, the third?
Tanmi.
Okay. Councilmember Marks.
Crystal, Maya, and Said.
Crystal, Maya.
I can try to
Give up. All right, Councilmember Hilton.
Crystal, Maya, and Syed.
Crystal, Maya, and Said. Councilmember Klein.
Crystal, Maya, and Zara.
And Zara, did you say?
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Tovar.
Maya, Crystal, and Tanmay.
Maya, Crystal. I hope you're keeping track of this because I'm going to mess it up. I'm doing it this way. Okay? And mine are Crystal. I'm voting for Chad, mine. And then Cooper. So it looks to me, Ty, like Crystal got one of them.
That is correct.
Okay. Maya got another. And then who got the next?
It seems like
Is
we
it
have a tie with Tanvi and Said. But there's only 3, so I believe we need to have a majority of council to appoint.
Right. So, right, Said got 3, and Tanmay got also 3? Yeah. So those 2 don't make it, but that leaves us with 1 seat still, right?
That is correct.
Do we vote again, or do we just leave it?
Vote again.
That is the council's wishes to vote again.
Maybe vote between those 2?
Or
Said
the next,
and
or give 1 to each seat, because there's still that other seat.
and the runner-up, could take the other seat.
Yeah.
Okay, so vote again for those 2, is that what we just
Yes.
said? Can we do that and not have to do it all? Okay, so we're confirming, okay, Lavender and Aiden got the first 2. Crystal and Maya, and who was the third one? Or there wasn't a third one?
No, it was
That's
tied.
it. Okay, it was Crystal, Maya, and then there was a third. Okay, so Councilmember Bracco, who would you vote for between, we're talking Tan May and, okay. Okay, Councilmember Armendariz?
Said.
Okay, Councilmember Marks?
Said.
Councilmember Hilton?
Said.
Councilmember Klein?
Zaid.
Councilmember Tovar?
Tan May.
Okay, and I would go with Said. So that then means Said gets the third seat from August 1 to September 30th, and then Tan May would get the one that's expiring September 30th, 2024.
Yep.
Is that all right?
That's good.
Yep.
Did you ever ask for public comment on this?
25. 24. That was, then 10 May's the last seat. Okay.
Do we have any public comment?
No speaker cards, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. Okay, then do you have everything you need?
Yes, I do.
And I
So
think-
just to confirm,
Uh-huh.
we have Lavender Huang, whose position will start on October 1st, who's already an incumbent,
Mhm.
to start for and end at 2025. We also have Commissioner Aidan Francis starting on October 1st, ending at 2025. Then later we will also have the three ones that starting today will be Cristil
Mhm.
Garcia Pablo, Maya Barrett, and Saeed Mustafa. Lastly, we will have Danny Sarath for the term expiring on September 30th, 2024.
Yeah.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 7 marked down, but God. This was a lot. This was a lot. You have the 2 incumbents. Right, that's clear. Then there should be 2 that are, 3, August 21 to today. And those 3 were Maya, right? Who was the other?
Crystal.
Crystal. And Saeed got the other one.
Yep.
Okay, that's where my mistake is. And then Tan May gets the one that expires September of 2024.
Correct. Right.
Okay, that works. Okay, everybody, thank you. That was a lot, and mostly thank you to the applicants. I don't know whether you're here in the audience or whether you're at home listening or whether you're watching this later. Thank you all for applying. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Okay?
Congratulations.
Yeah, these things are hard to do because, especially when it comes to the youth, they're all with that enthusiasm and they all want to contribute, and it is very difficult to figure out who. We can clap. Let's clap. Okay, moving on to 10.2, which is introduction of an ordinance of the City of Gilroy, amending Section 2.13 of the Gilroy City Code to modify the regular meeting schedule of the City Council. Jimmy, you're going to report on this? Okay.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. This is a follow-up to your August 7th meeting, where you provided staff direction concerning meetings in July and December. Specifically, the direction stated that council preferred to meet in the last Monday of the month in July. I'm sorry, the last Monday, Monday of the month in July, and then the second Monday in December in order to await the results of elections from the Registrar of Voters. The proposed ordinance does include that council direction, so we'd be happy to answer any questions. That concludes our report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council members? Okay, anybody from the public wishing to speak on this item?
No speaker cards, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Then, okay, so a motion by Councilmember Bracco, seconded by Councilmember Tovar, to read, the first thing would be to read the ordinance by title only and waive further reading of the ordinance. I can't combine, so just that, right? Okay, so that's the motion. We have a, right. You want to vote or?
Roll call vote, but we are missing Councilmember Armendariz, if that's perfectly
And
fine.
Klein.
That's okay. And Councilmember Klein, if we only need 5, let's go ahead.
4.
As long as I don't have to read the entirety of the ordinance.
Well, 5 is a majority, isn't it?
Yeah.
It has to be unanimous, though, remember? This came up once before. Sorry. Let's wait until they get back.
Can we do the second motion?
No. You
Can we-
can't do that until he's read the ordinance by title only.
Okay, can we go on to 11.1 and come back?
Let's just wait a moment.
It's not just you, it's Councilmember Klein, too.
I'm waiting on you.
Okay, the motion on the floor is to read the ordinance by title only and waive further reading.
Okay, go ahead, Ty.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Armendariz?
Yes.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Tovar?
Yes.
And Mayor Blankley?
Yes.
All right. I'll go ahead and read the ordinance title. An ordinance of the City of Gilroy amending Section 2.13 of the Gilroy City Code to modify the regular meeting schedule of the City of Council.
Thank you. Okay, so now I need a motion to introduce an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Gilroy amending Chapter 2 relating to the regular meeting schedule of the City Council.
So moved.
Made by Councilmember Klein, seconded by Councilmember Armendariz.
Councilmember Armendariz?
Yes.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Tovar?
Yes.
And Mayor Blankley?
Yes, that passed unanimously. All right, that brings us to 11.1, presentation of the Comprehensive Water and Wastewater Utilities Rate Study, adoption of a resolution commencing the Proposition 218 noticing process and setting October 16th, 2023 as the date the public hearing to adopt water and wastewater rates. They say accounting is boring. I don't know how that sounded. I joked. You're on when you're ready.
Yep. Let's bring up the presentation here. Good evening again, Mayor, council members, members of the community. Herjel Sangha, Finance Director. I'll be presenting you the item before you, which is the Comprehensive Utilities Rate Study Report and adoption of a resolution which would commence the Proposition 218 noticing process and setting the date for a public hearing. Some background information: the city does own and operate its own water and wastewater utilities, which has approximately 15,000 customers and growing. We do know that the operational and capital costs for both utilities are increasing, and this includes primarily inflationary cost increases in materials and services in the recent years, costs related to doing capital projects, our utilities to include electricity, and also our groundwater extraction charges that are charged by Valley Water have also been increasing over the years. More recently, the Council approved in April a utilities master plan for both water and wastewater utilities, which identified infrastructure improvements that are needed to fix existing system deficiencies. And our last rate study, that comprehensive rate study, was done in 2015, which set out our utility rates for both utilities through 2019. So effectively, the rates have been unchanged since then for both of those utilities. As part of the fiscal year 23 work plan, the Finance Department engaged a consultant to conduct a comprehensive rate study, which is a report included here and being presented tonight, which has effectively determined that there are multi-year rate adjustments needed for both utilities to continue our investments into the infrastructure and keep up with the rising operational costs. I do want to take a moment here and note that this is the utilities rate study. This can often be confused with development impact fees as well. Those are separate fees, separate nexus study that's required. We briefly talked about this when the master plans were adopted on how you fund development impact versus the existing system deficiencies. So again, this is for existing system, existing ratepayers or current ratepayers that will be assessed these fees. We do plan to update the nexus study for the development impact as part of this current budget cycle, and we'll bring that forward at a later date.
So the objectives for the rate study primarily include establishing, utility rates that we currently have, that they are able to cover all operating and maintenance costs, including the cost for treatment. Also ensuring sufficient fundings for our CIP projects are there for the 5-year period. We also have some reserve targets recommended for operations and capitals. So the rate study's objective includes maintaining those reserves throughout the 5-year period. For those utilities that do have bond existing debt, there are bond covenants that require us to maintain a bond coverage in a given specific year. So it also takes that into account. Last but not least is complying with the legal requirements of the Proposition 218, which requires utility rates are fairly and equitably established and assessed, if you will. There's the rate study methodology is primarily a three-pronged approach. First, we take a look at the financials, which take a look at your current sources and uses, your revenues and your expenditures, to determine the revenue that is needed from the rates, and then project those adjustments with some methodological projections, both on labor costs, utility costs, general inflationary costs, and such. The second component is the cost of service analysis. Basically takes a look at the proportionality of the revenue requirements to the various customer classes with the established industry standards as well as the state law. Last but not least is a rate design analysis to consider what rate structures best meet the city's need to collect the rate revenue. Next, I'll share the results. First, regarding the water utility. So the net revenue requirement determined by the rate study for the water utility ranges from approximately $16 million in the current fiscal year, growing to about $19 million in fiscal year 28. We do have 2 reserve targets, one operational, which is established at 6 months of operating expenses. For our water utility, that's approximately $8.2 million, and a capital rehab replacement reserve, which is a 50% of the average annual capital improvement cost over the 5-year period. And that amount is 4.1. So together, both of those make the 12.3 in the fiscal year 24. From a capital improvement projects perspective, we have an average, again, of $8.2 million annually, which is primarily funded by the accumulated fund balances. However, there is an assumed need for bond issuance in the latter years of the 5-year period of this study. Staff don't believe that the chances of that are very slim because any need for new debt will actually depend on the preceding years on how we actually deliver the projects in the current budget cycle, primarily timing and the cost. So if we're able to deliver the projects sooner, faster, at a lesser cost, we may be able to defer having to issue debt in the latter years. So the cost of service and the rate design analysis for the water utilities. So currently the rates collected revenue in proportions of approximately 30% fixed and 70% variable. The cost of service analysis did determine that we are closer of a 40% fixed and 60% variable. So therefore, we are recommending a slight change in the rate design. The volumetric charge currently consists of 2 tiers. So the first tier is up to 30,000 gallons of consumption, and the second tier is 30,000 gallons or above. We are recommending, because we're drawing from the same water source from Valley Water, we're recommending transitioning to a uniform or a single tier there. The rate adjustments needed for the water utility in the first 2 years are 8%, the third year is 6%, and 4% for the latter 2 years. Here's a illustration of the chart, again, kind of showing you the summary that I kind of talked about, specific to the water utility, which outlines basically your deficiency before any kind of rate increases. So you can see in the current fiscal year 24, the $1.9 million, so approximately $2 million, growing to about $4 million in the outer years. So the additional revenue rate increases would be approximately $600,000 in the current year, growing to about 4.6, and then outlines the projected annual rate increases there. This chart illustrates the water utilities reserves, again, which consists of the operations as well as the capital. This chart demonstrates, one, the ending cash balances. We are projected to draw upon our accumulated fund balances over the next couple of years to deliver a lot of the CIP that's planned.
as part of the updated CIP budget that was approved, as well as demonstrates that we are able to maintain our minimum target reserves for the 5-year period. So taking that into account as well. The proposed water rates are presented to you here. Our current fixed service charges are basically variables based on the meter size for both residential and non-residential. The variable charge for all water consumes, again, as I mentioned earlier, currently we're in a 2-tier program. We're recommending to eliminate the tier 2 and have a uniform rates there. The rate study and the models do assume that the rate increases will be implemented first at January 1, 2024, and annually on January 1st for subsequent years through fiscal year 28. The next couple slides will show you some water bill impacts. First one is going to be for the single-family residential with an average monthly water usage of 8,300,000 gallons. Would see their water bills go from the current $55.68 per month to $62.29, which is the teal color, which is based on the 60% variable, 40% fixed cost model, increasing to $77.12 by fiscal year 28. The next chart I'll show you is for the commercial. For our commercial customers, with the annual monthly average water use of 32,000 gallons, we'll see actually their rates drop slightly. This is a result of the cost of service analysis that kind of shifts the based on the consumption of the various classes. So the first year will slightly decrease from 152 to about 149, and then subsequent years we'll see gradual increases to 184.24 cents by fiscal year 28. We also asked the consultant to kind of do a comparison in the region to kind of see where we kind of land up. So this chart has our current rates, which is the second bar there to the left, and then the fourth and the fifth bar under both alternatives. If we alternative 1, which is the 40% fixed and the 60% variable, as well as our current alternative if we were to raise that. So we're looking at approximately $73, $74. Next, I'll share the results for the wastewater utility. The net revenue requirement ranges from $13 million in the current fiscal year to about $17 million in fiscal year 28. Similar to the water utility, we also have two components, same targets for operations and capital, so 6 months of operating expenses, approximately $6.8 million in the current fiscal year, and the capital rehab, which is about $4.4 million. So together they make up 11.2 is our reserves target for the fiscal year 24. From a capital improvement projects perspective, we have an average of about $8.8 million annually. Most primarily similar to kind of water, we have some accumulated fund balances that we will be utilizing to implement some of those projects. We also have existing 2021 bond proceeds, which were issued in 21 to fund the South County Regional Wastewater Authority's treatment plant expansion project. So we have some cash on hand that we'll be utilizing to implement the capital improvement project. So the rate increases on the wastewater side are not as aggressive, if you will. No changes are recommended to the rate design in the wastewater utility, so it does maintain the existing rate design and the structure. The rate adjustments warranted for the wastewater utilities are about 4% for the next 5 years. Similar to the water utilities, the rates would be assumed to be implemented again on the January 1st of 2024 and January 1 of subsequent fiscal years for a 5-year period. This is the summary of revenue requirements for the wastewater utility. Here we do show our deficiency occurring starting fiscal year 25 of approximately $300,000, growing to about $2.7 million by fiscal year 28. The additional revenue from rate increases will generate approximately $500,000 in the current fiscal year to about $3 million by fiscal year 28. And this chart also includes the projected annual rates and also includes the debt coverage that demonstrates that we are required to have a debt service coverage of 1.25, that we will maintain that for the 5-year period. From a wastewater reserves perspective, similar to the water, this chart demonstrates that we have some cash on hand that we will be implementing, utilizing to implement capital improvement program, as well as demonstrates that we will maintain our minimum target reserve balances for the 5-year period. This is a table of the proposed wastewater rates. Again, for the residentials, it's a fixed monthly charge. So that includes our single families and multifamilies. For our residential customers, we do have a fixed base rate monthly charge as well as a volumetric rate, which depends on the various strength levels ranging from low to high, as well as the fixed monitoring cost, which varies from significant, non-significant, and other non-residential. So on here, I'll briefly kind of pause and give you some examples. So the various strength categories, the low strength category examples would include our offices, retails, department stores. Our domestic strength would include our hotels, motels, service stations, and beauty shops. Medium strength would include our multi-use facilities, any hotels with restaurants and such. And our high strength includes our food processing businesses or grocery stores and such. And on the monthly base rate for our non-residential customers, the significant category would be businesses such as medical facilities or hospitals. Our non-significants would include our hotels, restaurants, and other category would include our offices, mixed-use folks and such. And I think I mentioned this earlier. Again, for the wastewater rates, we're looking to implement those on January 1st, 2024 for the first adjustment, and then each subsequent fiscal year would be January 1st of each year. The next couple slides will demonstrate the wastewater bill impact for single-family residents on this chart. We're currently looking at $46.64. That would increase to $51.07 per month, and then gradually over the next 5 years to $59.74. For our commercial customers, they're currently paying $106.31 per month. They would see their bill increase to about $120, and then gradually over the next 5-year period to $140.29 per month. Similar to the water utility, we also had the consultant do a regional comparison of the wastewater bill, and this chart demonstrates where we currently are, as well as where we would be under the proposed rates in the first given year. So we would go from the $46.64 to $51.07 per month. As far as next steps go, we will be pending council decision tonight and the adoption of the resolution. We would be commencing the Proposition 218 noticing process, which will mail out the notices and the instructions for any kind of majority protest early next week. We would be looking to establish the October 16, 2023 as the public hearing date to receive any majority protest and consider the adoption of the rates. Written protests can be submitted or withdrawn until the end of the public hearing that night. And then provided that there's no majority protest received and council does move forward to adopt the rates, they would go into effect January 1st, 2024, and annually on January 1st for subsequent.
Arjo, what does majority protest mean?
So majority protest means our total number of customers, so 50% plus one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actual majority.
Mm-hmm. Actual majority, yeah. And then the recommendations before you tonight are receive and accept the report and adopt a resolution declaring the intent to adjust the water and wastewater rates, commencing the Proposition 218 noticing process, as well as setting October 16, 2023 as a date for the public hearing. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Can you go back to the slide? Was there a slide on the water rates, not the wastewater rates that you just showed recently, but just on water? There yeah, I thought so. I just can't remember it.
This table? Or the percent increase?
The one that, maybe it was that other table, just doesn't look, I guess it's not done in the exact format as wastewater was. Wastewater showed single-family, multifamily.
Yes, so the
current,
rate structure
and
is
what's-
different. Yes.
Yeah, okay, it's
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
different. So the one for the water rates that's most similar is this one here.
Yes.
So a residential customer, there it is. There's the tiered volumes, there's the current rates. Okay, and then that shows how they go up.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right. Council members, any questions of Harjot, of staff? All right, do we have any public comments?
No speaker cards, Madam Mayor.
Okay, no speaker cards. So that then brings us to possible action, which is to receive a report and adopt a resolution. Is there a motion? All right, motion made by Councilmember Bracco.
I'm going to assume this report should be, this motion could be adopt the resolution, which does all three things. So
Right.
receives the report and adopts the resolution.
Right. Is there not a second? Well, there's no discussion, but there's not a second? Okay, I'll second it. I don't understand that, but okay.
Councilmember Almaderes?
Yes.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Tovar?
Yes.
And Mayor Blankley.
Yes. Okay, that passes unanimously. All right, moving to 11.2, extension of temporary outdoor dining program. Sharon, you get the pleasure.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and members of the committee. So tonight we'll be looking at an extension of the temporary outdoor dining program. All right. Just for background, a temporary outdoor dining program was established because of the COVID-19 pandemic. To respond to the COVID-19 outbreak in early 2020, local and state agencies issued health and safety directives to slow the spread of COVID-19. On March 16, Santa Clara County Health Officer issued a shelter-in-place order directing all residents of the county to shelter in their places of residence. And 3 days later, on March 19, Governor Newsom issued a statewide shelter-in-place order. On June 1st, 2020, to support business activity and to aid in the economic recovery of the city arising from the COVID-19 pandemic, the City Council approved a temporary outdoor dining program. And the program temporarily allowed restaurants to operate in outdoor settings adjacent to their business, utilizing private parking lots, public parking spaces, sidewalks, plazas, or other similar outdoor spaces for outdoor dining. Use of city-owned public properties and right-of-ways, such as public parking spaces, mainly apply to downtown businesses. What the temporary program did was that it simplified the permitting process. The program allowed restaurants to establish outdoor dining quickly while ensuring the safety of patrons and the public. Several restaurants took advantage of the program and set up temporary outdoor dining spaces. The temporary outdoor dining program was intended to end on May 31st, 2021, or 30 days after county order allowed sit-down dining without the distancing restrictions, whichever is sooner. Subsequently, on May 3rd, 2021, and then on May 16, 2022, the City Council extended the temporary outdoor dining program. So the program remained valid until May 31st this year. In the resolution extending the program, it stated that until May 31st, 2023, the Council shall make certain city-owned public properties available for outdoor dining during the pendency of the county and state orders. Under the temporary program, Station 55 established an outdoor dining parklet. And Station 55 desires to retain that temporary parklet installed under the COVID program. The outdoor dining parklet on Monterey Street in front of the Temple Kitchen and Bar, that originated under a separate pilot program in 2017. It currently has a revocable encroachment permit for occupying an existing parklet that's issued by the Public Works Department in April 2021. As public health professionals continue to monitor COVID-19 data and agencies update COVID-19 guidance, on February 28, 2023, Governor issued a proclamation terminating the state's COVID-19 state of emergency. The governor also phased out the executive orders put in place since March 2020 as part of the response to the pandemic. So here are some of the considerations for extending the temporary program. Recently, staff has received concerns regarding the negative impacts of outdoor dining parklets for occupying public parking spaces. Business expressed that such installation was allowed only due to COVID and that parking spaces occupied by parklets cannot be used by surrounding business customers. Business also voiced concerns that parklets block visibility of adjacent businesses and create vehicular traffic visibility issues. Staff has also received comments from the business community that advocate for the outdoor dining parklets to remain, noting that they support business activity and continue to stimulate the local economy. A further consideration about outdoor dining parklets arose from this early August communication that we received from Santa Clara County Assessor's Office. And it basically states that private business use of outside public spaces, often known as parklets, started as a response to the pandemic. And even though outdoor operations is no longer required, because now indoor services have been allowed and have resumed, parklets have remained in many communities. So the county assessor wants to evaluate this private use of public space and apply the revenue and taxation code. Therefore, outdoor dining parklets could result in potential property tax implications for business with parklets. And the city may have an obligation to charge the business using the parklet also because the private business is using a public asset. Another consideration is the downtown parking management plan. Evaluation of any permanent program for downtown parklets will depend upon the study results and adoption of the downtown parking management plan. Public Works staff is anticipated to bring forward the downtown parking plan for council consideration in fall 2023. So in response to the comments we've heard from the business community and considering the potential property tax implications for parklets, staff is seeking council direction on extending the temporary program through December 31st. And we're proposing this timeline in anticipation of a downtown parking management plan coming forward to council, with the plan guiding the consideration of any permanent program. And prior to this date, prior to December 31st, county assessor may also provide further details on this potential property tax implications for parklets. So staff recommends that council adopt a resolution as proposed to extend the temporary program through December 31st. And staff will return to council or provide updates to council prior to end of the year. An alternative is for council to not extend the program, and if that's the case, staff will notify and work with affected business on compliance. And as for fiscal impact, this temporary program had no fees and no costs associated with it, so it's very minimal impact to the city as far as fiscal impact. It's just staff time for reviewing and managing those requests. There may be revenue implications for business under the temporary program, as well as the nearby businesses. There may also be property tax implications for the business with parklets. So here's staff recommendations to adopt a resolution extending the temporary outdoor dining program through December 31st, 2023. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. I don't see anyone lined up, but I certainly have questions.
I do.
So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and just ask a couple first, and then I'll go to council members. Sharon, the property tax thing, if that comes to be, against whom is the property tax assessed for the public street?
I'm probably going to defer to Jimmy if he attended that
I would think
webinar,
it's the
if
city,
the county
but-
assessor, yeah.
It would be the city who would then pass it on. They would have an obligation to pass it on to
Yeah.
the private business.
Okay, but that's where it would go. Okay, and currently today, we have 2 parklets right now, right? We have one in front of Tempo on Monterey, and we have one in front of Station 55 on 5th Street.
Correct. Established under different programs.
I understand, right. Established under different programs, but there are 2 that,
Correct.
both of which could be removed immediately, right? There's no, okay. And outdoor dining, I want to clarify that this is not what we're talking about tonight is not outdoor dining. We're talking about outdoor dining parklets, right? This nothing here would prevent Garlic City Cafe from having their tables and chairs outside on the sidewalk, correct?
That's correct. So let me back up a little bit.
Or any business. I'm not calling out a particular, I'm just saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've been doing a lot of research because the staff that established this years ago is no longer here, so we've been trying to look up any records we can. In 2023, Council had adopted an ordinance allowing the use of city public right-of-way.
Right.
And as part of that, the Council adopted Article 44 in the Zoning Code, and within that also incorporates by reference a policy, and the policy called Policy for Placement of Street Furniture Objects in the Public Right-of-Way.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that currently in existence where the
right, and that's not part of what we're addressing here.
Right.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, and during COVID, this temporary program basically made it very simple and did not just kind of superseded those rules so that business can establish, reopen very quickly.
Right, because we know we have some restaurants that are using, they have tables, they have furniture outside. Station 55 is one of them, not in the parklet. They have it both on the sidewalk and in the parklet.
Correct.
Garlic City Cafe has some on the sidewalk. Milia's had, whether they still do or not is up to them, but I just want to make a differentiation that what we're talking about here tonight is just what's in the street.
In the street, correct.
Right.
And just to kind of expand a little further, because we're kind of, starting this research with current staff, we are planning to look at that policy very carefully because it was, effective January 2013.
Mm-hmm.
So it was established more than 10 years ago. We want to see if there are updates that are needed to that policy.
Right.
And then create kind of a whole packet of information, including handouts and procedures and updates needed to that policy so that we can, have a more clear, set of procedures going forward for sidewalk dining.
Right,
yes.
but we're talking about just in the street here tonight.
Tonight, we're trying to focus on the
Exactly.
parklets because those were the concerns
so I'm
we
gonna-
heard.
Right, I'm trying to
specifically.
separate those two things. Yes, thank you. Okay, what I see is Councilmember Tovar, Councilmember Klein, and then Councilmember Armendariz. So Councilmember Tovar.
Thank you, Mayor and Sharon. Thank you for this report. Also, thank you, Jimmy. We've had some discussions about this while I was in a different country, so I appreciate your discussion. Sharon, thank you for what you put up there. But again, I think, obviously, regardless of how people feel about parklet, as you know, they're an important source of revenue for our businesses, right? So I understand as you mentioned, there's individuals that are protesting this. But again, I want us to keep in mind that, we need to help our business survive. I see parklets as doing that. And no matter what the parking management study reveals regarding parklets, and I think it's going to come back saying that it's an essential part of, of downtown. As you know, businesses will need time to adjust their business model to adapt to any changes. And I'm in favor, obviously, of the extension to the end of December. But, you mentioned that you work with business, but can you tell me how specifically will businesses be notified of any changes to the program? And then also, will they be given adequate notice and time to transition or phase into or out of the parklet program? So, two-part question. So,
Yes, staff will definitely work closely with the businesses, and provide adequate amount of time. So if council were to extend the temporary program tonight through the end of the year, and Station 55 being really the only project that was permitted under this, we will be working with the applicant closely, and we know from our field observation and inspection the current parklet wasn't installed really according to the original configuration. So we'll be working with the applicant to make sure that it's in accordance with the original approval in terms of the configuration.
okay.
Yes.
All right. And you had mentioned that obviously there's only two currently. So in reality, what's the number of requests that we've gotten over the last several years regarding parklets?
Under the temporary program, it was just Station 55.
Right, so just
parklets.
one, right? Okay, so again, I'm going to go on record saying that I strongly feel in favor of keeping our parklets, and again, if at the end of December, if it comes back where whichever way it's decided, I think, again, we need to make sure we give our businesses adequate time to sort of adjust to that, and not a last-minute type thing, and you have to get rid of them, right? So, I leave it on you guys to work closely with the business. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Councilmember Klein?
Yeah, just, I know we're past it with outdoor dining as far as for parklets, and just the need to have that, whether you need to just sit outside and whatnot. And I look at this parklet, it's more of an exception than the rule when it comes, especially downtown. We have two, and really I don't see the need for really having that parklet there. It takes up 3 spaces, and there's plenty of space for the business to thrive the way it is without that parklet. So for me personally, just aesthetically, I'm not in favor of that parklet, or parklets in general. So just my thoughts.
Okay, so council members, we should be talking to each other. We're the ones making the decision, not Sharon. All right. Councilmember Armendariz.
So I'd like to speak to Councilmember Klein. Which parklet were you not in favor of? Either of them, or? Yeah, either of them. Okay, just to be clear. And then, Sharon, you might have mentioned it, but I wasn't clear. When is the assessor expected to issue a decision on any potential tax?
We're just anticipating more details before the end of the year. I think, was Jimmy going to expand, or?
I think what the assessor's done is given us a head up that as part of the next tax roll, they will incorporate some changes, but what they are exactly, we're just not sure yet.
We don't know. Okay. Are there any neighboring counties that you know of?
Well, I think the assessors talk to each other a lot, and so I think if one county sees an opportunity to generate revenue in that sense, they're going to copycat.
Okay. And then, have we seen in neighboring cities what type of fees they're charging business owners for parklets, or if their ordinances and policies allow all the local businesses to use them, or are they all focused and given specifically to one business?
We have not researched those details, but before we come back to council and as we look at the results of the downtown parking management plan, we'll be looking at all of that.
I'd love to know that, and also if there are parklets that are owned or built by the cities, and then how those are managed, right? What kind of policies they have. Yeah, but I do favor extending. I enjoy parklets and outdoor dining in general.
Yeah, so I think what we have before us tonight is whether or not we want to extend this so that we can do exactly that. Consider having parklets, what that would look like, together with the parking management plan, and what are all the different things we would want to have in that. Tonight is just about, do we want to extend, or we just want to say no right now? Mm-hmm. Okay, so Councilmember Hilton, you're next, and then Councilmember Bracco.
Thank you. And Sharon, thank you for just being open to staying out of the way of business and working with those that already have existing, outdoor furniture that, the initial thought was to, let everybody out. But at the same time, there are plenty of businesses down there that do this al fresco dining, which is on-street parking or on the sidewalk or in a plaza. They're all together. It's not just about the parklet. So those that have just sort of had an outdoor dining experience already, eventually they're going to have to fit into some mold, right? That's not just going to be gone. But I am in favor of allowing that downtown parking management plan to move forward, so we can, and at the same time the parklet, policy to come back. But I'm generally in favor of more outdoor dining, more space, more people on the street. But more importantly, thank you for working with like Station 55, who's in this sort of period of limbo. So I would be in favor of extending this to December. Thank you.
Councilmember Bracco.
Sharon, when we originally did this, did the businesses have to apply and have plans and be inspected? That it's up to code?
It's up to the program parameters, and because earlier,
is it up to our current building standards?
The Station 55, that particular installation, it was the configuration that did not match the original approval. So Station 55 ended up putting panels on the sides and on the roof, and the original approval had it open. So if council were to extend this program, that's what we would work with the applicant to basically comply with the original approval, which would also improve the visibility.
But we're not in the COVID anymore, so I don't see why we would go by those rules. Wouldn't we want this stuff to comply with our current building standards? That they have to be built a certain way and
Yes, the temporary program supersedes some of the zoning code requirements, but it still had the safety standards. So construction-wise, that is in accordance with code and is safe.
Okay, well, I'm against parklets, Councilmember Klein. I think it's an unfair gifting of our property, letting businesses use it for free when we're limited on the parking that we have. So I will vote no. Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to open public comment at this point because I know we have at least two speakers that I see, and then we can come back to council. So I see Sammy Trujillo and Jose Montez. If you could both come up to the front and be, when the city clerk calls you, you'll be ready to go.
Again, Sammy Trujillo first, followed by Jose Montez.
Thank you. Station 55 is asking for the City Council for help in their support allowing outdoor parklet in their property, at their business, for their business. We invite the City Council members to come by and take a look at the parklet, which I believe it can be actually an example for more parklets if you guys decide to pick it up and allow certain businesses to go out and open up a parklet to better their business and bring in more people on the streets. And then just to touch a little bit of bases, just on a few comments. They lost 29% of revenue since it's been closed. I know for a fact, listening to this council, is that you guys are usually always really good about considering businesses. And now I'm asking for you members, city council members, mayor, to consider the business. They've already gone through a little bit of hard time because it's not open now. Eventually, if it's voted upon, that it will be opened up. But it would increase their business, employment, and a lot more opportunities to bring in more customers. So that's what we're asking. We're asking that, and I also want to thank. I did have a lot of communications with Sharon, and then I also had a lot of follow-up by some of the city workers. Craig has been very involved. They both have responded promptly, and I want to appreciate. I appreciate that. And so, with that, I also want to add. I would like to thank the mayor and the city council members for supporting our local businesses and our community. And that'll be it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay, for the speaker? Sure, go ahead.
Yes.
You kept saying they, so do you own the building?
No, I'm just a member. I'm just a member of the community. That's all I have.
Oh, okay, and you stated they're closed down now,
The parklet is.
The parklet is not currently being used right now.
but the business is open?
The business is currently open.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Did you have a question, Councilmember Tovar?
Oh, no, I was just
Oh.
clarification. I thought
Oh.
we couldn't respond, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Right. It wasn't a response, it was a question.
got it.
Yeah.
But if it's on the agenda, we generally can.
Yeah, okay. I just made sure.
Okay. Yes, Jose Montes?
There's Jose. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the City Council, Mayor, City Administrator. I'm here to support for the parklet at Station 55. I really don't know why this is a big issue, where other cities have the same thing. Look at Hollister. The city of Hollister built those parklets for the owners. I'm sure they're charging a fee, but hey, it's an opportunity for the owners to add more business. And when they have more business, they profit. But also the city profits because there's sales tax involved. So the property owner, the business owners do well, but so is the city. It seems like we're working against ourselves. I understand that this parklet was built specifically because of the pandemic. But I remember that prior to the pandemic, the city had a pilot program to install 5 parklets. Out of the 5, we only did 1. What happened to the other 3 or 4? This could be the second one. I think this is an opportunity for the city not only to show their support for businesses in downtown, but also to capitalize from potential sales tax. I think somebody mentioned aesthetics. I understand aesthetics is very, very important. But at this point, the property owner is willing to improve whatever standards the city has to beautify. Or I think Mr. Bracco came up with the question about being up to code. They're willing to do whatever's necessary to operate legally. And thank you very much. But I hope you be encouraged to support business in downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, are there any other speakers?
No other speaker cards, Madam Mayor.
Okay, then coming back to council. Councilmember Hilton, is this left over, or do you have another comment?
Another comment.
Okay.
We learned a lot from COVID. We learned a lot. Yeah, we established this program under COVID, but at the same time, we learned a whole lot more. And if you go to the city's website, and there's no mention of COVID on here. It says Al Fresco Outdoor Dining Program. I just want to read the first sentence. It says, outdoor dining is a valuable asset in our community, which is why Gilroy developed a temporary Gilroy Al Fresco outdoor dining program while we developed a more permanent program, which is exactly what we're doing right now. We're trying to extend this, get us a little bit more time, because the parklet was already agreed on by majority to come back on our legislative work plan. So we already know that we're steering in that direction. And I think that anybody that wants to build a parklet completely understands that whatever the downtown management parking plan ends up showing, if it's a asset to the city and it's going to cost so much, then let that business decide whether they want to have that, revocable, encroachment permit on top of that space, and here's how much it's going to cost. And oh yeah, by the way, there might be an assessment from the tax. Let them figure that out. I think that goes back to the core of us trying to let business be business and stay out of the way and not try to legislate how that works, but give them all the options and let the business decide. Thank you.
Councilmember Tovar.
Thank you, Mayor. Sharon, a question for you, if you don't mind. So in the report, you mentioned protesting was in regards to parking spots, right? With Station 55 and Temple, you're looking at, what, a total of 6 parking spots? 5?
Yeah, I'm just sharing those are the concerns we've heard.
No,
from
right. But I'm
the-
saying that we've just built a brand-new parking lot. There's one adjacent to Station 55. So I guess my question is, we're talking about 5 or 6 parking spots. So I can't
Okay,
comprehend.
that's not for staff, though.
No.
Okay.
I'm talking to us. I just can't comprehend how we're making, this is a difficult decision because, again, we're talking about 5 parking spots, and we're going to help. I mean, thank you for those statistics. I mean, 29% of the business they've lost since we've closed their parklets. So that's not us helping businesses. So I'm going to make a motion to extend the temporary outdoor dining program.
I'll second.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second on the floor. I still have some comments to make. That doesn't mean we can't still vote on that. And I am going to be supporting that extension. But I do want to say that supporting businesses doesn't mean that we support something for one business that helps one business at the expense of another. And that's the thing that we just need to be careful about, because in this particular situation, you've got a structure that is not built to what it was supposed to be built to when it applied for that, even under COVID. And it is blocking the sight lines and the views for some of the other, not views as in a pretty view, but as in when people drive, they can't necessarily see the businesses that are also along the street, the visibility there, until they're right on them, and then you'd have to turn your head completely to the side and not look at where you're going in order to see that. So I'm just saying that I support this extension because what we are seeing is that we don't have a consistent anything yet. There are only these two parklets, yes. They were both authorized under different circumstances. The one at Station 55 was not built to what it was purported to be when it submitted for its, and so that will get corrected right away, right, after this, so that the businesses that feel like their business is being hidden by this structure can be alleviated. And then when we get our parking management plan, we can all entertain a new ordinance that addresses parklets, just like we just did for sidewalk vending and everything else, to make sure that whatever parklets are out there, that every business has the same opportunity to have one. It's not first dibs kind of thing. Everybody needs to have the same opportunity. Okay, so those are my comments. So I know we have a motion and a second. I'm guessing we're all.
I was just
did
going
you
to say, if I could, that I support the extension, and I look forward to us creating a policy that allows for uniform, beautiful parklets that give other businesses, like you said, the equal opportunity to do so. I think they've been given that, but a chance to have an ordinance that all of our businesses can support, and also is an investment, because we've invested in money for downtown facade improvement grants and other things to help businesses generate more customers downtown, more participation downtown, and I think this is one of those, and it's worth our time and investment. So,
okay,
happy to support.
Okay, so roll call vote, or is this a?
Yes, it's a roll call
Okay.
vote, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Armendariz?
Yes.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
No.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember
Yes.
Tabar? And Mayor Blankley?
Yes. Okay, so that passes 6-1. And that brings us to 11.3, adopt a resolution of intention to reimburse expenditures for costs incurred in connection with the Gilroy Ice Center project. Harjo, take it away.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and members of the community. Here, Joe Tsonga with the Finance Department. The item before you is adoption of a resolution of intention to reimburse expenditures for costs incurred in connection with the Gilroy Ice Center. The recommendation is to adopt a resolution. So, consistent with the our efforts with the Gilroy Ice Center project, this is the second item tonight. So, in June 22, Council approved the non-binding term sheet with the Shark Sport and Entertainment LLC. In anticipation of the construction, there's certain work that needs to be done, like the contract that you approved tonight, as well as preparing the site for utilities and additional site work. That will likely be completed prior to the financing of the project, so the bond issuance. So therefore, federal laws, regulations do allow us to go ahead and keep a tally of costs that are incurred on a specific project, and then we get to reimburse ourselves from that. So that's the action before you tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions. We did something similar with our wastewater, you'll recall, back in 2021.
Okay, thank you, Harjo. Councilmember Bracco. Oh, was that from before? I see your hand. Oh, okay. Council, any questions from council then? Okay, a public comment? Do we have any speakers?
No speaker cards, Madam Mayor.
Okay, then looking for a motion to adopt a resolution of intention to reimburse expenditures for costs incurred in connection with the Gilroy Ice Center project.
So moved.
Was that Councilmember Klein?
I'll
Okay.
second.
Okay, Councilmember Klein, and then Councilmember Marks seconded. I really don't know which one of you said it first.
That doesn't.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilmember Almaderis?
Yes.
Councilmember Bracco? Yes. Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Tovar?
Yes.
And Mayor Blankley.
Yes, all right, that passed unanimously. That brings us to item 12. 12.1 we've already handled. 12.2. Oh, sorry, Jimmy, that's, or whoever you're calling up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report tonight is from Fire Chief Wyatt. We have been working on the temporary fire station, which is kind of the permanent temporary fire station that is under development, and you approved a few months ago that we moved from over by the Glen Loma development down to down to Christmas Hill Park. And so Chief White's going to give you some update on staffing, coverage, response times, and all those things that are very important to that side of town and the rest of the community.
All right.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Mayor and Honorable Council. Let me go through, and I'll try not to take too much time, but I did want to give you an extensive update. First, I wanted to start off about the planned citywide fire station staffing. This is an illustration of our goal to obtain 12 firefighters per shift for all 4 stations with a crew of 3, 1 firefighter medic, 1 engineer, and 1 captain. Planned citywide fire staffing would include for all 3 shifts a total of 36 firefighters. That would be 12 per shift, plus 4 relief that could be moved between the shifts, and for a total of 40 firefighters that we are asking for, and that has been approved as part of the budget. Although right now we're at I'll explain that in just a second, but right now we have 1 overhire. We had originally planned 2 relief firefighters to be hired in 2025, but fortunately, due to some eventual retirements, we were able to overhire, and I'll discuss that a little bit more. So what does that translate? Right now we have 39 firefighters hired, with the 1 extra overhire, of course, but we only have 32 available for staffing, and that's an important concept for the council to realize, is that they're not instantaneous, and some of them may not be available for staffing for quite some time. And I say that to you because I'll just use our A shift as an illustration. We actually have 3 people on disability. So an entire station is on disability at this time. So we have to staff that station with overtime. We also have on C shift someone in training. We're hoping that they'll be able to successfully complete their training in the next 30 days. And of course, we have 3 more people that are in training. They're actually going to be going through the fire academy, the Joint Fire Academy on October 3rd. In the meantime, they're going through quality assurance for their paramedic skills. But they won't count for staffing for quite some time. So in summary of the fire staffing, assuming that we maintain the firefighter health and retention, we're planning 40 firefighters to staff all fire stations, and that includes 4 relief firefighters. Currently, we've hired 39. That includes 1 overstaffed firefighter. Currently available, we only have 32 firefighters to staff all fire stations. 3 firefighters on long-term disability, 3 in the fire academy that's coming up on October 3rd, and 1 that's completing their FTO time, hopefully within the next 30 days. Just to give you a projection, we anticipate by March of 2024, next year, 39 firefighters will be available to staff. We have plans to add the 1 or 2 firefighters that may be necessary for the next fire academy in April of 2024 based on vacancies. And then by October of 2024, a little over a year, we should have 40 firefighters to staff all fire stations. I'm just switching gears now to the Santa Teresa interim station build. As far as the architect and the modular building itself, the architectural design has been completed. There are some minor details that need to be worked out, but for the most part, we do have a site plan. The modular building specs have also been completed. We're waiting approval for the apparatus bay. That's been pending. And as you can see by the map that I have, we show where the quarters is going to be located. This is of course, on the Christmas Hill ranch side by the teak building. The plan is not to occupy the teak for our quarters, but to occupy the modular building in a separate engine bay directly across the street. What you see as far as the yellow dotted line around the perimeter, that's a security fence along with two gates, one at the north end and the other one at the south end. As far as contractor services, that's still pending. Site prep and grading, electrical and water trenching, septic trenching and connection, perimeter fence and automatic gates, apparatus bay flooring and apron. These need to be concrete. That changed from our previous location. And of course, our G2 Phoenix alerting system, that needs to be installed so they can be rung down like the other three stations. So in essence, the Santa Teresa interim station will be a fully functioning operational station, not exactly centered in the district, but will nonetheless be able to provide services to Santa Teresa district, as well as all three other districts in support of our fire mission. I do want to also talk about our SOC response times. These have come under scrutiny by the LAFCO report, and I'll be going over that a little bit in detail with you. But first of all, the standards of coverage recommendations requires that the first due unit should arrive in 7.5 minutes based on the 4 permanent stations. Currently, we're working to staff and build an interim fire station, but the permanent station I'll get to in just a moment, but it has yet to be built. The city should construct, again, this is the standards of coverage recommendations, the city should construct and staff the Santa Teresa station with 3 firefighters as soon as fiscally feasible. We've been working diligently with the city administrator and human resources to come up with not only the funding, but also the available staffing through our hiring process. And currently, we've staffed the Santa Teresa unit from 2 firefighters for 12 hours to 2 to 3 firefighters for 24 hours. So we're incrementally moving forward to provide the very recommendation that the standards of coverage came up with. Recruit firefighter training, firefighter health, and firefighter retention play a large part or a large role in fiscally staffing the Santa Teresa station. And I say that to you because if we just concentrated on just paying overtime, we would spend easily nearly $2 million just to staff and overtime for the Santa Teresa unit without even including all the other requirements for overtime, for sick leave and disabilities and whatnot, vacations. LAFCO service study that was done in 2022 just recently came out in June of this year in draft form, but the materials and data that they used to create the report was based on older information. I did explain this to them that we were incrementally adding staff and adding apparatus, but unfortunately that didn't get into the report in time. And so they concluded their data for the report in June of 2022. That gave us in June of 2022, that gave us an average response times throughout the city of 10 minutes and 54 seconds. Since that time, and I'm just using the data for 2023, and we're halfway through there, the city response time for the first half shows our response time has decreased to 9 minutes and 13 seconds. To give you an idea of the significance of that, that means that we've had a 13% decrease in our time and a 1 minute and 21 second shave off of our average response time, according to LAFCO. Also, the Santa Teresa half-shift staffing has reduced response times in all districts, and if you look to the right there, the graph shows that every district represented, the Santa Teresa, the Sunrise District, the Los Animas District, and the Chestnut District have all seen decreases as a result of staffing just even half-time with the Santa Teresa unit. We knew it would, but we were pleased to see that we've made some changes to our response times overall. Also, when we have staffed the Santa Teresa during that 12-hour period, just in Santa Teresa alone, the decrease has been up to 18%, with a 1 minute and 54 second decrease in our response times. Now, obviously, in the after hours, that time goes back up again, but it does demonstrate that the Santa Teresa unit is working the way it should. As we move towards staffing with 3 firefighters, as the LAFCO, as the SOC study recommends, we will see a better service delivery overall to the city. We will see improved firefighter safety, which is a crucial part of that study, and a reduction of our overall response times. I will say that no LAFCO study or standards of coverage study can accurately predict the ability of the fire department itself and its personnel to save lives. And I've stated it before, this county has a 6% save rate overall. In Gilroy, we have a 60% save rate. Our firefighters, whether you agree or disagree on our response times, are saving lives hand over fist. LAFCO study and analysis. Key points. Gilroy continues to be the second busiest jurisdiction per capita in the county. I'll just say we're only behind Palo Alto because they staff their ambulances full time, and their ambulances run the bulk of their calls, not their firefighters. So that really puts us as number 1. Gilroy is the 4th largest provider of mutual aid in the county. Why is that important? Because we send, not only do we request resources in our city, we also send them out. Nearly every fire jurisdiction is challenged by delays in service delivery due to not enough fire stations, a critical shortage of countywide ALS ambulances causing response delays and longer fire department on-scene times. This goes across the board. The county is in crisis, and we're stepping up. We utilize our ambulance for critical calls when their ambulances, county ambulances, can take anywhere between 30 to 1 hour to respond to our city. Also, we have a lower number of qualified paramedics to hire, and that's throughout the county. We've seen some other fire departments actually recruit some of our firefighter medics. That's how good our firefighter medics are. I just want to make sure that you understand that as Gilroy may not be able to step up as quickly to some of the needs the city has, our firefighters are doing a miraculous job. And there's also substantial increases to call volume. Gilroy, since the establishment of the SOC study, has seen a 25% increase in our call volume in the past 3 years. And over the past 6 years, it's been 40%. So our calls for services have increased, and we're moving in the right direction, I believe, as the fire chief to meet that need. Not as quickly as I would like. I live here too. My family lives here. My grandkids live here. We've called 911 at least 2 times since I've come to live in Gilroy. So it does matter to me. I'll also add that third alarm and greater would leave delays of coverage in any jurisdiction, not just Gilroy. We had a fire in which two of our firefighters went down. It was, although it said it was around 98 degrees, according to my vehicle when I arrived, it was 105. And we had 2 firefighters go down as a result of the heat, one that was transported to the hospital. They still were able to put out the fire, and they prevented other extensions of that fire, but we had to call in mutual aid resources from as far as San Jose. That takes a half hour to get here. So in summary, I just want to bring out a few points. Standards of coverage is based on the permanent Santa Teresa station being built and operational, and that's dependent upon the Glen Loma development, meeting their permit requirements before we can initiate that, initiate the building of the permanent station. The city is ahead of schedule in achieving the standards of coverage study due to the temporary fire station at Christmas Hill Park. And again, the stats speak for themselves. There are no coverage gaps, including the west side. I will say there are delay gaps when the Santa Teresa station is not there, but that's true with every jurisdiction and every district within our city. And I say that to you because Los Animas is the busiest. That means that the other 3 stations have to cover Los Animas when the call volumes come in. Los Animas is one of the busiest fire stations in the entire county. Mutual aid is, and will continue to be beneficial to both the city, our neighbors, and the state. Recently, we responded to the Riverside fires, where they threatened thousands of homes, and we sent, as an initial attack, one of our Type 1 engines. We were able to do so and still cover the city. I'll just say that as we get closer to meeting our staffing goals, we'll be able to provide much like we did 2 years ago when we went throughout the state, and mostly in Northern California, to 81 continuous days of mutual aid support for the state.
Wow.
And I'll just also add that the Region 2 chief said that Gilroy fire set the bar for the state in the longevity of our firefighters. The city is currently in an overhire situation. I asked for 40, we've got 39. We have more firefighters than the actual budgeted positions. So I'll just say that incrementally we've gotten there, and we've gotten there a little bit sooner. I will also add, though, from the moment that we put out a job announcement, it takes 1 year for a firefighter to actually be considered staffing. So even though we've got some new firefighters on board, I'm not going to say that it's going to take them a year, but we started recruiting the 3 that we're sending to the Joint Fire Academy in October back in January. So it does take a while. And I'll take any questions from you.
Yes, I want to say a huge thank you for doing this report because, we've got all this. We're strong. I'm so sorry that Gilroy was even put in this position by LAFCO. I, too, took exception to some of the things there and even some of the comments that I've seen on social media that have not been accurate at all. So thank you very much for clarifying that and with such passion and accuracy so that we can all hear it straight from and be very, very proud of our Gilroy Fire Department. Thank you. Okay.
Chief White, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe I missed it in your report. When is the Santa Teresa station slated to be open?
The Santa Teresa...
the temporary.
Oh, the temporary. Okay, so we're still working on that. We have run into 2 problems. We were not ADA compliant when we first submitted our plans. We had to, both our showers have to be ADA compliant, so it required a redesign. And then we've run into difficulty with getting quotes for the apparatus bay. That's the reason why I say it's pending. We finally got the 3 quotes, and we need to select one now and start moving forward on that. But I did talk to, we're working with city planning, and they did say that we can separate the two, that we don't have to build the apparatus bay and have the modular built at the same time. So we're going to move forward with the modular first, and we'll eventually get the apparatus bay put in second.
So any projected date, though?
Yeah.
Any idea?
That's what she's asking.
I'll just say probably late fall, sometime or
Of
early
23
early
or
winter.
24?
That's what I'm hoping for.
Of 23.
Of 23.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions? Councilmember Rocco?
Chief or Jimmy, one or the other. When are we looking at? How long will we be in this firehouse before we build the new one?
We are completely dependent on the Glen Loma agreement, which is the issuance of 1,100 permits, and we have no indication that they will meet that 1,100 permit anytime soon. That's why we're putting in a more permanent type station, because we're at the mercy of that agreement. So we have no idea. It could be a year, it could be 10 years. We have no idea.
What do you anticipate? Your best guess?
Well, the reason why we are building a more permanent temporary station is I do not have a lot of confidence that we will hit the 1,100 mark anytime soon.
Okay.
This comes up at every monthly coffee with the mayor, too, this question, and we just have to keep saying we don't, we are dependent on how that development goes. Okay, were there any other questions from council?
On the high bay, what do you project that as far as that being put in place?
The apparatus bay.
Apparatus bay.
Yeah. So part of that was some additional costs that we didn't count on, which was the concrete apron. We were planning on using asphalt, but both the architect and the company that's going to build the shell said that it needs to be on concrete. So it's changed our focus, and that's what.
Jim, he just wanted the date. Can you answer the question? What day do you think the bay will be in place?
Oh, okay.
We're on.
Every time I give a date, I'm always disappointed myself. I'll just say this: that it should take us about 60 days once it's approved to get the apron put into place. The question is, who's going to do it and how much it's going to actually cost? That's what we're still working on. It will trail the other one.
Okay,
Yeah.
Councilmember Klein, use your microphone because, thank you. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to City Attorney's reports.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to comment briefly on the housing element and say what a wonderful result this is. And I want to congratulate Sharon and Cindy McCormick particularly. They both worked tirelessly. They worked very effectively in navigating through this Byzantine state bureaucracy that we had to comply with, which was not easy. And for the council's perspective, twice we have litigated the validity of our housing element. The mayor mentioned this was the 6th cycle. We litigated our 2nd cycle housing element quite a few years ago. Some public interest lawyers claimed that it was inadequate because HCD had refused to certify it. We defended it in court on the basis that it was adequate, that there are a whole bunch of things, if you look at the government code, that a housing element must contain, and it had them all. HCD wanted more because HCD is somewhat of an advocacy agency for low-income housing. And we won that case. Then the next one, 6 years later, we was challenged again because, again, HCD refused to certify it. And again, we went to court, and again, we said to the judge, this is valid. Judge agreed. That one went up on appeal and has become actually the leading case in the state it's a published case, on the issue of what it takes to have a valid housing element. It's called Fonseca versus the City of Gilroy. It was published in 2007, and it's cited statewide as the leading precedent. Now, we don't want to do that again. And in fact, it's virtually impossible to sort of buck HCD, so to speak, now, because HCD has gotten stronger and stronger. And so I think in that context, for Sharon and Cindy to have gotten through and gotten their certification and worked with HCD and with the state law is a remarkable achievement. So I just want to congratulate them and tell everybody how important this really is. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. And yet, and I think it has been misconstrued too, saying this is the sixth cycle. Of some have put out that that we submitted 6 times. That's not it at all. We've submitted once, got comments back. The council had to address those comments that we approved May 1st. Submitted a second time, got these minor comments back that didn't even have to come before council, and now it's certified. So it'd be nice if facts could be factual, instead of people making them sound much differently than they are.
So, Mayor, then basically it was the 3rd draft cycle for the comments. Correct?
Yes, but only
Correct.
one that had to come back to council.
Correct.
Right. Okay. With that, we are adjourned at 8:29 p.m. Thank you.